China's economy is in serious recession. The financial industry is having a hard time. Recently, the news of the collective resignation of senior executives of Chinese listed companies has shocked the industry. According to statistics from mainland media, in the first half of this year, more than 40,000 people resigned from 42 listed banks in the mainland. The mainland media described this as a collective escape of banking employees. According to incomplete statistics from mainland media, from August to now, mainland A-share listed companies have issued more than 1,100 resignation notices. Most of the resignations are in the financial industry, such as Wang Tinke, chairman of China Insurance Group, Liu Jin, president of Bank of China, and Zhang Rongsun, president of China Zhejiang Bank. According to statistics from Oriental Capital, in the first half of this year, 42 A-share listed banks reduced their employees by more than 40,000. Zhejiang Bank did not disclose the number of employees in the midterm of 2024 and was not included in the statistics. Among them, the 6 state-owned banks reduced their employees by a total of 25,000 in the first half of the year. Among them, the number of employees of large state-owned banks such as Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, Agricultural Bank of China, China Construction Bank, and Postal Savings Bank of China has decreased most significantly, with a decrease of 10,561, 4,980, 4,790, and 4,224, respectively. In addition, the changes in the number of employees of joint stock commercial banks are also quite significant. CITIC Bank, Ping An Bank, Huaxia Bank, Pudong Development Bank, and China Merchants Bank have reduced their employees by 3,070, 2,289, 1,985, and 1,122, respectively, while Minsheng Bank and Everbright Bank have also reduced their employees by about 600. Changshu Bank has reduced its employees by 4,293, and Ningbo Bank has reduced its employees by 1,669. Oriental Assets reported on September 11th that the phenomenon of 40,000 bank layoffs in the first half of 2024 directly reflects the pressure on the banking industry's operating situation, especially under the factors of slowing economic growth, intensified market competition, and changes in regulatory policies. The profitability of the banking industry has been squeezed. Therefore, banks have taken measures to lay off employees and reduce salaries to reduce cost pressures. According to Sohu Finance, in terms of the reduction ratio, Ningbo Bank is far ahead with a reduction rate of 5.71%. As of the end of June this year, Ningbo Bank had 27,540 employees, a decrease of 1,669 from the end of last year, becoming the city commercial bank with the largest number of employees reduced and the listed bank with the highest reduction ratio. Simply put, it's no longer possible to roll, an employee who resigned from Ningbo Bank in the first half of the year said. Compared with the end of last year, Postal Savings Bank reduced its staff by 4,224 people, including 3,880 contract employees. As of the end of June, the number of contract employees 30 years old and below of Postal Savings Bank was 31,360, accounting for 17.61%. While at the end of last year, its 30 years old and below employees were still 36,623, accounting for 20.13%. In other words, in the first half of the year, Postal Savings Bank reduced its 30 years old and below employees by 5,263. According to the mainland Wake Fortune, the latest semi-annual report of listed banks is like a huge breakup agreement. The data tells everyone nakedly, the banking industry is experiencing a talent earthquake. This is not a normal flow of personnel, it is simply a collective escape. It is simply a war without gunpowder. The report said that the most shocking thing is that the fastest escapers are those energetic young people. Postal Savings Bank has lost 5,263 30 years old and below employees in half a year. It seems that the golden rice bowl of the bank has become a hot potato in the eyes of young people. They would rather deliver food than continue to squander their youth in the bank. A few days ago, Du Wen, a former official in the CCP system who is in exile abroad, revealed on his YouTube channel that the current state of the CCP's financial circle executives is collectively queuing up to resign, and many people don't want to do it anymore. In some financial institutions, many people in management have resigned together. Du Wen said that behind these intensive resignations of executives, it reflects the deep-seated corruption and systemic collapse of China's financial system, and also shows that the financial sector's top brass is completely disappointed with the country's economic prospects as a whole. This shows that it is only a matter of time before the financial system completely collapses. In recent years, the mainland Chinese economy has fallen into a serious crisis and recession, along with the impending burst of the Chinese real estate bubble, which has created empty cities and ghost towns across the country. Many of these ghost towns have consumed a huge amount of national wealth, serving only the interests of a minority of officials and their relatives. Some analysts believe that the blind expansion of local officials, in pursuit of political achievements and corrupt gains, has led to the appearance of ghost towns throughout the mainland. China's record number of vacant homes and urban projects, more than 60 million and rising, has become an increasingly worrying domestic challenge. Known as ghost cities, these projects have created a housing bubble that reflects the current chaos and paralysis of the Chinese government. The term ghost city might imply a city once full of life that is now abandoned. However, China's ghost cities are brand new, their high-rises never populated. Many have remained that way for years, continuing to plague the nation's urban planning strategy. Asia's largest villa district has an occupancy rate of only 10%. According to mainland media reports, there is a European-style development 15 kilometers south of Baodi County, Tianjin. The gate is shaped like the Arc de Triomphe and can accommodate 10 cars side by side. This is Jingjin New City, known as the largest villa district in Asia, but it is 110 kilometers from the center of Beijing, 50 kilometers from Tianjin, and 80 kilometers from Tangshan. The extremely low occupancy rate makes this villa district the largest ghost town in the Beijing-Tianjin region. Across the mainland, many similar empty cities exist. Ordos City in Inner Mongolia, which once proudly declared its per capita GDP surpassed Hong Kong's in 2009, also has a modern empty city. Reports describe Kangbashi New District, designed for 1 million residents, where no pedestrians can be seen for 15 minutes and fewer than 10 cars pass by. The most striking sight is the towering construction cranes standing still next to unfinished high-rise buildings. Upon closer inspection, not a single worker is visible on the empty construction site. In Inner Mongolia's New City district, no pedestrians can be seen on the roads for 15 minutes. Daya Bay in Huizhou, adjacent to Hong Kong, is another vast empty city. In recent years, developers have exaggerated the slogan, integration of Shenzhen, Dongguan, and Huizhou, and Daya Bay close to Shenzhen became a hotspot for Shenzhen residents looking to buy property. Relevant statistics show that Daya Bay, with a permanent population of only 70,000, had 108 new projects started in 2012 alone. But after the investment boom, the idea of working in Shenzhen and living in Huizhou became a joke. Soon this area also turned into an empty city. Last year alone, 12 new ghost cities appeared on the mainland, with extremely high vacancy rates in these urban areas. The cause lies in the blind ambitions of local officials chasing political achievements and the distortion of urbanization. Chen Zhiguo, research director at the Beijing Fangdi Economic Development Research Institute, said that the blind expansion of cities without considering local market demand for housing and residents' purchasing power has led to an oversupply. Ordos, which fell into the embarrassing situation of becoming a ghost city due to the real estate bubble, was a result of the city's rapid expansion. The ghost towns of Beijing, Tianjin, New City, and Daya Bay suffer from a lack of supporting facilities, leading to high costs for healthcare, education, and transportation, issues that cannot be resolved in the short term. Since the famous Ordos ghost town in Inner Mongolia, ghost towns, empty towns, sleeping towns, and dead towns have sprung up all over the country. When the Tianjin authorities launched the Xiangluowan Business District, they were ambitious, hoping to build an Oriental Manhattan. They initiated 39 projects and planned for a total of 48 skyscrapers. Construction began in 2006, with the entire project scheduled for completion by 2008. However, after only 2 years of activity, many projects were suspended or delayed. Experts believe that behind the phenomenon of ghost towns lies the bursting of the real estate bubble, rampant inflation, capital shortages, and the fact that urban development has turned industrial support into mere bubbles. Despite the rise in ghost towns, real estate prices in mainland China continue to soar, which is difficult to comprehend. Dr. Zi Tian, a professor at the University of South Carolina's Aiken Business School, once pointed out that China's real estate market is a privileged interest of the CCP. First, they seize property from the Chinese people to acquire land, then sell the land for real estate development, absorbing people's funds. As the real estate bubble inflates, officials and vested interest groups have made significant profits. Dr. Tian also said that because the CCP has closely linked these economic and market conditions with its regime, as long as the CCP continues to prop it up, the ghost town phenomenon will increase, the real estate bubble will expand, and the Chinese people's funds will continue to be drained by these ghost projects. This will worsen over time, making it a deeply unfortunate situation for the Chinese people. Analysts warn that a total collapse of the Chinese economy is imminent. China's ghost cities, the story behind the country's many ghost towns of abandoned mansions. China's ghost cities are far more common than one might think. Take the state guest mansions, a development envisioned as luxurious homes for the upper crust of society. Now, the only residents are herds of cattle, and the occasional adventurers wandering like ghosts around the arched verandas and stone facades of hundreds of abandoned villas. Located around the hills of Shenyang, about 400 miles northeast of Beijing, the development was originally planned by Greenland Group, a Shanghai-based real estate developer, and broke ground in 2010. But as AFP reports, within 2 years, the project ground to a halt, leaving behind half-finished skeletons of imitation palaces. Today, the crumbling estates stand abandoned, arranged in eerie rows like an architectural cornfield. The irony of this situation grows more apparent as the seasons change, with local farmers now plowing the land between the villas for future crops. The garages of the abandoned mansions have been repurposed as storage for hay bales, and modest 2-rail fences corral herds of cows between the properties. The interiors of the abandoned mansions are perhaps even more haunting. A thick layer of dust and scattered garbage are the only furnishings in these rooms, starkly contrasting with what remains of marble floors and columns, crystal chandeliers, coffered ceilings, and intricate marquetry. In what was once the sales center, a model of the planned 260-villa neighborhood still stands. These homes would have sold for millions, but not a single one has been bought, a farmer named Guo told AFP.
Over the past week, the Three Gorges Dam reservoir has experienced the largest flood peak since it was built in 2003. Aerial photos show that the dam has opened up to 10 floodgates. The Chinese government has also rushed to deploy a plan to control the flood, but the reality remains grim in the face of nature's great power. China's state media reported that at 8:00 p.m. tonight, July 27th, the water flow into the Three Gorges Dam reservoir, the world's largest hydroelectric project, had reached 73,800 m³, the largest since the dam was built in 2003. Under pressure from the floodwaters, the Three Gorges Dam had to urgently open 10 floodgates. China has not only been experiencing continuous rain and floods for many weeks, but in July it also faced 2 major storms, causing heavy rain over a large area. This has led to the rise in water levels of major rivers, causing significant flooding in many cities in the northeast region, sweeping away many houses, villages, and people. Prolonged heavy rain has submerged many areas in China, causing extremely large losses to people's lives and the country's economy. The ancients believed that water, fire, thieves, and bandits are 4 terrible disasters, of which water disaster is the most terrible. Although flooding is a common phenomenon worldwide, few places experience it as an annual occurrence like in China. The Three Gorges Dam is a water bomb hanging over the heads of the Chinese people. According to the Ministry of Water Resources of China, the country has more than 98,000 dams, more than any other country in the world. Most of them are medium and small-scale dams. More specifically, China owns nearly half of the 50,000 large dams in the world. Among the 11 largest hydroelectric dams in the world, China owns 6 projects, such as the Three Gorges Dam, Ziluodu Dam, Baihetan Dam, and others. Heavy rains continuously challenge the endurance limits of these dams, including the Three Gorges Dam, the world's largest hydroelectric dam, located in the floodplain in Sichuan and Hubei provinces. So let's take the Three Gorges Dam as a representative for research. The Three Gorges Dam began construction about 30 years ago and started to contain water in 2003, but there have been constant warnings about the danger of the dam breaking. However, for the purpose of the entire political system, despite opposition from society and all classes of people, it was built to satisfy the great dream of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. If the Three Gorges Dam breaks, the huge water flow will affect millions of people, flood downstream cities, and wipe out large areas of central land. Therefore, China will be even more stressed about food security. This dam is like a giant water bomb hanging over the heads of the people year after year. But also, in that fertile Sichuan plain, there is an ancient water conservancy project that has stood firm and operated effectively for more than 2,000 years. What is it and what makes it so enduring? Dujiangyan, a 2,200-year-old water management achievement with a philosophy of following nature. Dujiangyan is an ancient irrigation project that has stood firm for 2,200 years, playing a major role in making Sichuan, the ancient land of Bashu, become the granary and agricultural heartland of China today. Dujiangyan was built during the Warring States period by a governor named Li Bing. Dujiangyan consists of a shallow dike shaped like a fish's mouth that prevents water from being diverted into floods, located in the middle of the Min River, dividing the Min River into an inner river and an outer river. This dike is not used to prevent floods but is located right in the middle of the river, automatically dividing the water into 4 and 6 parts. During the flood season, the water flows into the outer river 6 parts and the inner river 4 parts. During the dry season, the water flows into the inner river 6 parts and the outer river 4 parts. The water flows into the inner river and flows into the Baoping estuary, flowing east to supply water to the Sichuangxi plain. To further control the water flow into Baoping Gate, at the tail of the Fishmouth Water Diversion Dam, people repaired the Bin Tui Canal used to divide floodwater. The dam repairs of the later dynasties were carried out on the basis of further perfecting the principles of macro design and maintenance of the dam, making Dujiangyan able to last and bring eternal benefits to generations of Chinese people. Even in 2008, the Wenchuan earthquake, with its terrible devastation, caused heavy damage to Dujiangyan city. But the Dujiangyan Dam was basically safe and sound. The special feature of this project is the philosophy of following nature and the idea of the unity of man and nature of the ancient Chinese people. That philosophy in the construction of Dujiangyan is a continuation of the ancient spirit in the 5,000-year-old divinely transmitted culture of China, which is not to confront, but to live peacefully with nature, and to skillfully borrow the power of nature to turn disadvantages into advantages. Therefore, when talking about Dujiangyan, we must go back 4,000 years to the water control project of King Da Yu of the Xia dynasty. Da Yu and the water control philosophy in divinely transmitted culture. When King Yao reigned, the Yellow River Basin suffered many floods. At that time, Yao assigned the task of water control to Gun, who was a descendant of Emperor Xian Yuan and had the talent to build walls. However, because of his stubborn arrogance, Gun only knew how to build one dam after another to prevent floods. And as a result, when the water rose, the dams broke, causing even more disastrous consequences. It went on for 9 years. When Shun replaced Yao as king, he saw that Gun was incompetent and caused many consequences due to his failure to control the water. So he punished him and took Yu, Gun's son, to replace him in controlling the water. Yu did not disappoint Shun. He changed his father's way of doing things and used the Great U method to control the water, dividing mountains and building dikes on steep slopes, clearing water streams, following the flow of water, and finally bringing it to the sea. After 13 years of tireless work, Great U finally succeeded. He was passed the throne by Shun and established the Xia dynasty. The way of controlling water by Great Yu and later Li Bing with the Dujiangyan Dam was very different from the Three Gorges Dam project. What was the difference? It was the contrast between the ancient Chinese philosophy of following nature and the Chinese government's view of fighting heaven, fighting earth, fighting people. The opposing ways of posing problems would inevitably result in completely different outcomes. Current reality shows this huge difference. As the CCP builds more and more dams to block water flows and accumulate reservoirs, the floods in China become more and more severe, each year being worse than the previous. Countless cities, towns, and villages have been submerged and swept away. The loss of life and property is enormous. The most frightening thing is the giant bomb Three Gorges Dam, a great danger hanging over the heads of tens of millions of Chinese people, which has been warned by many experts and could be activated at any time. And the CCP is the main cause of these great disasters.